Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a bit of a book haul. Got a whole host of books here to talk about. Picked these up over the course of the past couple weeks over a variety of sources. Thrift books, half-price books, and then two I just snagged from my parents' house. They're mine now. Well, they were mine before, but I left them there. And I guess they're still mine, so I just went last time I was over there, I went and picked them up. But yeah, I got a whole host of genres, 6 books in total to talk about, so let's just get right into it. I hope you're having a great day. It's Sunday morning for me, beautiful weather. Let's talk books. First book on this list I got is called The Charm School by Nelson DeMille, or DeMille. This is a sort of a mystery, like a war mystery book set in the Cold War, fiction, obviously. And I'll just read the back. It says, on a dark road deep inside Russia, a young American tourist picks up the most unusual passenger, a U.S. prisoner of war on the run with an incredible secret to reveal to an unsuspecting world. The secret concerns the Charm School, a vast and astounding KGB conspiracy that stands poised against the very heartland of America. So yeah, I picked this up because this was my mom's favorite book growing up. I think it came out in the 80s. I remember my grandma sort of raving about this book a while ago and just popped up into memory. I used one of my Thrift Books free book coupons on this. Yeah, no real plans to read it soon, but figured out if it was my mom's favorite book, it needed a space on my shelf regardless. Yeah, so contemporary Cold War fiction doesn't get much better than this. I don't really know a whole lot. Well, I know like the historical aspects of the Cold War, but that's sort of when it comes to like fiction books, and even nonfiction books, obviously the world wars are in a league of its own, and there's a whole lot of information out there on the world wars, but not so much about the Cold War. So this will be sort of I don't know, just a nice book to have on my shelf. I mean, you can't make out really anything that's on there, but this bottom shelf here, basically from the raccoon over to the middle, is all like my war fiction books. Most all of them are World War II. That's just how popular those sort of books are. So this will be a nice contrast. Looking forward to getting into this one. Complete 180 in terms of genre. Next on the list is, let's see if we can read that. It's called Even If This Love Disappears Tonight by Misaki Ichijo. I thought this was interesting. I watched a video, a 24-hour readathon with Emmy Reads. This is one of the books that she read, and she was like visibly sobbing at the end of it. And I had just read Pat Conroy's A Prince of Tides right here. And that was the last book to make me cry. And I figured I needed another hit of that. Got this off Thrift Books for a pretty good deal. Used, it doesn't look used, but this tells the story of this boy and this girl, and the boy sort of gets dared to ask out this girl on a date, and the girl obliges, but she has some rare medical condition where every day her memory resets, so she wakes up and has no recollection of the day before. They agree to date to fulfill the dude's dare, and also so that people sort of get off the girl's back a bit. There's sort of 3 rules that the girl tells the guy to do. It says, don't talk to her until after school, keep all communication between them short, and don't fall in love with her. We'll see how that goes. It's a short book, apparently very punchy. But yeah, this one should be good in case I'm feeling the need to let it all out and cry a bit. This will be there for me. I haven't really seen anyone else read this, so I'm going in blind. But yeah, this will be interesting to say the least. Sounded fascinating. Alrighty, I guess back a whole other 180, back to the war. I picked up Ivan's War. It says life and death in the Red Army during World War II, 1939 to 1945. Picked this up because my dad was reading it and he thought it was fascinating. And I thought I needed it on my shelves as well. I read the basically like the American side of this last year with Band of Brothers by Stephen Ambrose. I watched the TV series with my dad, both seasons of it, the Pacific or Band of Brothers Pacific, and then obviously the original. And yeah, I enjoyed the book thoroughly. There's a couple like spin-off books written by other members of that battalion, and I read a couple of those as well. I thought it was fascinating. This will be interesting to see sort of like, I know during Band of Brothers they weren't fighting the Russians per se, but this will be interesting to see like that point of view as well. Pretty short as well for a nonfiction. I think it's nonfiction. Yeah, nonfiction like war book. Usually they get pretty dense. But yeah, I guess again back to the war books. But that's where the war books end. Couple of, I guess this one's not really fun, but this one has been on my list for a while, and I forgot what it was about until I looked up to buy it, and I saw it on thrift books for cheap. It is called Say Nothing by Patrick Keefe. It says the true story of murder and memoir in Northern Ireland. I think the premise of this book is that it's a true story. There's this woman who she has all these kids. I forget how many kids. 38-year-old mother of 10 dragged from her Belfast home by masked intruders, her children clinging to her legs. They never saw her again. And it sort of tells the story in the police hunt for the people that did this, and I heard it was a very chilling book. Sort of, yeah, I mean the cover is sort of chilling in and of itself. I'm not in the mood to read this right now. But yeah, if I ever get into the mood to read a nonfiction crime thriller, so to speak, that is pretty dense, I definitely have it on my shelf. It is, some people say, like one of the best crime books I've ever read. Maybe lending to that fact is the fact that it is not fiction. It is fact over fiction. So yeah, New York Times bestseller. We'll see how this goes. Alrighty, last two books here I picked up from my parents' place that I owned, but they were just sitting on my bookshelf because I didn't move them when I moved. First one is Misery by Stephen King. As the weather cools down, I thought it was perfect time for some more spooky books on my shelf. Last October, I read It by Stephen King. Took me about the whole damn month to read that, but it was just perfect for the fall and the spooky mood. So I thought this would be a good one to read around a similar time. It's Stephen King, so it's very unsettling, sort of haunting sort of a thing. I think this tells the story of an author who kills off, like in his book, kills off one of the main characters in his series, and one of the author's fans doesn't like that, so she tracks the author down and like traps him in his house and does a bunch of crazy shit to him. It's very short and the pages aren't very full of words. My sister read this. She's a huge Stephen King fan and she thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the girl's name is actually Misery, so yeah, it's should be a good one. It says, I'll just read the back because I'm probably doing a terrible job of explaining what it's about. It says, best-selling novelist Paul Sheldon thinks he's finally free of Misery Chastain, In a controversial career move, he just killed off the popular protagonist in his beloved romance series in favor of expanding his creative horizons. But such a change doesn't come without consequences. After a near-fatal car accident in rural Colorado leaves his body broken, Paul finds himself at the mercy of the terrifying rescuer who's nursing him back to health. His self-proclaimed #1 fan, Annie Wilkes. Annie is very upset over what Paul did to Misery and demands that he find a way to bring her back by writing a new novel, his best yet, and one that's all for her. After all, Paul has all the time in the world to do so as a prisoner in her isolated house, and Annie has some very persuasive and violent methods to get exactly what she wants. So I guess Misery is the character in the book that he's writing, obviously, and not the perpetrator, so to speak. So it's a very interesting premise for a book, and obviously Stephen King will knock it out of the park. As always, I enjoyed it. Didn't enjoy Under the Dome as much as it, but I think I was comparing it to it too much. Anyways, that's Misery. Second Stephen King book here, just for the spooky vibes. I like the cover of this one, very retro. This is Needful Things by Stephen King. I got this at a library warehouse sale for $2 because it's a hardback. And yeah, this is a thick sort of classic Stephen King book. I think this one tells the story of this store that sells, I'm terrible at explaining books, but says Leyland Gaunt is a stranger and he calls his shop Needful Things. 11-year-old Brian Rusk is his first customer, and Brian finds just what he wants most of all in the world, a 56 Sandy Koufax baseball card. By the end of the week, Mr. Gaunt's business is fairly booming, and why not? At Needful Things, there's something for everyone. And of course, there's always a price. For Leyland Gaunt, the pleasure of doing business lies chiefly in seeing how much people will pay for their most secret dreams and desires. And as Leyland Gaunt always points out, at Needful Things, the prices are high indeed. Does that stop people from buying? Has it ever? Let's see. It says, for Alan and Polly, this 1 week in autumn will be an awful test, a test of will, desire, and pain. Above all, it will be a test of their ability to grasp the true nature of their enemy. They may have a chance, but maybe not, as Mr. Gaunt knows almost everything is for sale. Love, hope, even the human soul. So, should be interesting. Like I said, it sort of tells the story of this store that somehow sells something that everyone wants. And it will be obviously Stephen King-esque, very long, lots of characters, very fleshed out characters and motivations. So I'm looking forward to this one eventually in due time. Yeah, that will do it for this book haul. Like I said, I would say maybe not none of these books, but majority of these books are not something I typically read. Actually, none of these books are stuff I typically read. I typically like to read... What do I like to read? I don't know. I guess I like to read contemporary fiction, classic fiction, maybe a little bit of fantasy here and there. And these are none of that. So I guess I'm expanding my horizons in real life. Are you proud of me yet? Let's see. But yeah, that'll do it for this book haul. Appreciate you watching up until this point. Who knew I could ramble on for 14 minutes about 6 books that I know nothing about. But alas, here we are. Like I said, appreciate you watching up until this point. Consider subscribing if you're new. Give it a like if you liked it and all the YouTube things. Yeah, 1 like and I will shave my beard. Is it even a beard? Does it even pick up on the camera? No. But 1 like and I will shave it. And yeah. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you're reading a good book, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out, guys.